and welcome to episode 48 of Let's Talk Tactics. I'm your host, Zach Burrell.
Hey, I'm Daniel.
I'm Luck.
And this week we are joined by Mijin, I guess, long time member of the PvP Discord, kind of my, I think my ice rival might be a way to put it. Whooped my ass in 1 CM when we had basically the mirror match, had me by a vision card, but
It was
yeah, how are you
close.
doing? It was close. How are
Doing
you doing?
good, doing good. Yeah, it's been watching it for a while. That was a great match for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those too. As I was saying, I'm like 99.9% sure it's him, but if it's not him, it's gonna be really awkward. No, but yeah, no, that was crazy. And I actually, after that match, I ended up reevaluating my vision cards and improving them. So thank you for that. But yeah, let's start you off with the normal questions we have here, which is basically your history with Final Fantasy as a franchise. What brought you to War of the Visions, or how you found out about it, and then what kind of brought you into the live PvP life.
Yeah. So I guess with Final Fantasy, I think the first Final Fantasy game I played was Final Fantasy 9. I think. I was quite young at the time, but it is my favorite Final Fantasy. But the game that yeah, I think the game that really got me into it was I actually played Final Fantasy 11 with my brother a lot when I was little. Um, so I think that's what really got me into, and then after that, I played a ton of all the other Final Fantasy games. But what was the next question again?
I said, how'd you get into War of the Visions, or how did you find out about it?
Okay,
And like,
yeah, actually, so that was an interesting story. Because that was around the time when like COVID and everything was happening. I was actually in Japan when I learned about it, and I was on a flight back, and I think I was arriving in Chicago. Like, and I knew about Word Divisions like on a plane in Japan, and I was just waiting the entire plane ride. Like, I want to download this game. I want to download this game. And as soon as I arrived, first thing I did was installed it, and then yeah, it
just
was great.
the rest is history.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the rest is history. Been playing since then.
Now, when did you sort of get into live PvP, and what made you want to stay and kind of become a competitor?
Yeah. So I've always been pretty big into like strategy PvP games. And I remember it was shortly after I pulled Frederica by accident. I went straight in. I re-rolled for like Gilgamesh immediately because I thought he looked cool. And I just was like, huh, Gilgamesh is quicken. These skills are usually really good in PvP, and I tied it in with Frederica, and I was getting like 40 win streaks just with that combo for a while. And I think after getting into that, I was like, oh, this is really fun. And then I think a big thing that kept me in was the live PvP Discord as well, just because for a bit it was just me playing by myself. Then you had him before here, but Woody is also from my guild, and then we started playing together, and then after that, it just kept growing.
Sure. Sweet.
Yeah, I think
what was your-
he was the one that suggested you join us, and so we finally got around.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're kind of like going down all the members of the PvP Discord here, and do you guys have other people from your guild in the Discord?
Just Boomhauer is the other one that's
Okay.
from our guild. Yeah.
I say it's weird. I hear, I see people talk in the Discord or whatever, like they mentioned being guildies. I'm like, I had no idea, and then over time I'm realizing how big some of the groups actually are from the guilds. Like a lot of my members have been getting into class match stuff, but they haven't really gone on the server. But it's definitely cool. So yeah, we should have some like guild turf wars sometime or something. Like get like 3 or 5 members or something from various guilds and have them just like clash and like best of whatever's. But yeah, so we definitely had a lot drop today. A lot more than we kind of expected. Also, like we knew. I think that like Laura was coming, so I was planning for that. But then they're like all or not. Yeah, we heard about Laura. But then all the winter stuff was just crazy. So we're gonna go through the winter stuff before talking about class match this week. We'll start with the Mogul Winter Esper. It looks like another one that kind of gets that ice attack upgrade. So that's kind of to be expected at this point, I feel like. I think Fenrir was the one that kind of broke that trend. And I assume there's other ones I'm forgetting, but most of them are the elements. And then also it has crit damage. Not sure where the crit damage is coming from on the Ice Esper, but how do you guys feel about this Esper overall? We'll start with Locke.
Well, one thing about this card in Esper is that even for new accounts, you get it. So like, I mean, most of us already got it when the first time it came around. But as I have a new account today, and I wasn't expecting to get it, but it was in my inbox, so that's nice. Um, and I mean, it's good like for like a new player account because it gives you a bit of magic stat. It has 16 agility, decent stats all around, and also like for a magic user, it also has silence resist, which is nice. But it'll obviously be better on an ice unit like the Valentine Solaire uh, and Mediana, I guess, because you can also give it an additional 25 um, 25 S attack. But otherwise, it's. I mean, if it's not on an ice unit, it's good for like a starter unit if you don't. Sorry, a starter esper if you don't have anything like Diablos or Bahamut or something. So it's good for like a starter esper if not ice. And then yeah, that's about it really. Not much else to say.
Daniel.
I like the for an MR Esper, like it doesn't have like the usual, well, not the usual, but some of the Espers, the lower rarity ones have kind of lame node clusters that like, magic attack only adds up to like 10 or whatever. Winter Moogle doesn't have any of that. 15 magic attack, 15 magic resistance. It's got the ice attack you mentioned. So that and the summon or like the evocation, it's like it's one of the only ones that doesn't do damage to the enemy team. It heals and has an evasion buff and crit buff. So I think it's I rather like it. It's unique.
Mijin, any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think one thing that's pretty nice for an MR Esper, you don't see 16 agility too often, so that's pretty nice. And then talking from an ice perspective, getting that fire resistance very easily is quite nice because it'll probably cancel out the fire resistance negative it has on it. I think those would probably be the two big things.
It does it up to 10. Oh, there's a little node that kind of goes
Yeah,
down.
in the beginning.
I always miss
Yeah.
those. Okay. Oh, that's pretty interesting. Okay. Still have the disadvantage if you're an ice unit, but that definitely
Yeah.
helps with the overall. Oh, okay. Also, really strange that the evocation, if you ever did use it, like it's a heal, which I guess is kind of, maybe a magic Moogle thing, but increasing evasion and critical rate is just like a weird combination of like substats. I'd rather just like the heal be bigger or something, but like ice and evade are not things I often think of together unless I'm thinking of like last wall. Exactly. I don't think there's any other real crazy evasion ice units until we get the selection one in Japan's a assassin, right?
Yeah.
I think so. That's gonna be pretty interesting for a mix up.
Victoria, maybe.
Victoria, she's very medium though.
Yeah. She has shadow cast.
Back in the day, yeah, she's like season.
Yeah, I guess that's coming from the guy who used literally evasion, Victoria, what was it? Ruin Stern and Shell was my really weird team that one class match,
Right.
but
Gotta give this shout out.
Yeah, right. So unless anyone has other thoughts, let's just move on to the EXs here. So we have Ramada, Mashery, Venera, and Victora all simultaneously getting their EXs, which is cool. But at the same time, if someone's a fan of all these units, it is which I'm looking at Daniel here. it's a lot to do at once. So let's say, Locke, of these four, is there one you in particular would like to talk about?
Winter Victor.
What about you, Daniel? Mashery, obviously, actually. I'm just assigning you Mashery. So, Mijin, what about you?
That's right.
I could do Winter Venera.
All right, cool. So, what does that leave me? Victora or Ramada?
Ramada.
Locke, you said
Ramada.
I said Victora.
Okay, yeah, cool. I'll read Ramada then. So, Ramada was sort of the.
If you don't want to, I can cover that.
Actually, if you want to do Ramada as well, then fine.
All right, who's turn?
That's what I said. I said you can do Ramada if you want.
Okay. I am pretty disappointed with her upgrades. She gets an upgrade to her hazard form, which is like every soldier gets it. But all it does is nullify some status effects that you don't really normally see besides stop. It's paralyzed, stop, and doom. That's like literally the only upgrade. It doesn't cost less. You don't get more cast or anything. Still consumes the same HP. Still gives you the same attack buff. Really kind of lackluster. And then the other upgrade is to Grim Reaper, which you don't even really see soldiers use that much. And all it does is increase the damage multiplier. So again, you don't really use the skill that much compared to like Hazard Break or Drain Force or whatever. And so it's like, I mean, nothing changes. It doesn't decrease AP consumption or increase casts or, yeah, just, I really want to know their thought process behind these upgrades. And then her Job 25 skill is, it's a nice chance to stop, but at the same time, it's only that base 25% chance. Still consumes HP like the soldier's usual, dynamic with skills. And I mean, I think it's like, is it large damage or is it medium? I don't know. It's interesting that it's in the cross AoE. There's 2 casts and it's 28 AP. But again, it's just not. It doesn't push her over the edge into a unit that you might consider using on your team, unless it's for like raids, which I have done in the past. And I think she's actually been useful only because of her like dream within a dream and like lowering her bravery. So you're just stacking the slash attack. So yeah, really unfortunate.
When a unit is described as useful only when lower bravery, it's a pretty telling statement. Yeah, I was
So
gonna say
sad.
like even her stats aren't that much better. Like she doesn't have a ton of HP either. So like all this, I guess the percents then reduce less, but it's less of a small amount, which still puts you in kind of the danger zone to be killed. The pressure hazard, it's kind of like a slightly better one of like Agris's stop, right? Like I think it has one more range, and then it has just a higher damage multiplier, but again, it costs HP.
Yeah.
And just one more
She's
thing.
basically. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say one more thing about the
Oh.
hazard. Oh, we're on a super delay today. Damn. On the hazard form, it's 12 TP. Like whenever I see TP skills, especially in the main job, when you have like one, it has to be 30, 40 or something, so that you have some generation. And it just doesn't have that. And to only really be relevant to stop, it's a little rough. Which I guess with her natural resistance to charm, it's kind of nice because those are 2 of the like sort of holy trinity of status effects if we count that and disable. But still, high cluster overall.
Yeah, and it sucks because like she came out so much later than obviously like OG Stern. Like we started the game with him, but she's literally like the same level of like survivability as him. Like literally the only way that I think she may be marginally better is she has the 50% charm resistance. It's like really the only thing stat wise that I think she has going for her. And the fact that as far as I can remember, I think I used to use her for Keen Blade, for like a water team or something. It was like Glaciella, her and Iltira, just to
Ooh.
have fun.
Doing the cheese blade. All right, and hang up. I'm just kidding.
No, well, I don't. Was it the cheese blade? I don't know. I don't think it was cheese blade material, but it was just something I was having fun with. It might have been in the early days.
I mean, something that Stern doesn't have is a natural weakness to lightning, which is nice too. Like being a water unit, you really have to have some good gas in there, or protection or something. She's just a squishy soldier that doesn't really have a lot of special going for her. But do Locke or Mijin, do either of you have kind of maybe a redeeming quality to point out, or are you kind of in the same boat? Either one of you guys?
I
What
don't really
say-
have anything else to say.
Yeah,
Sorry.
not redeem it. Yeah, like not a redeeming quality.
Oh, and also Mijin, note if you start talking at the same time as somebody else, you automatically get priority. So.
Oh, all right.
But Daniel, anything before moving on to something maybe a little more positive?
Yeah, I guess I like her TMR. If only it wasn't like a helm. It increases attack and it increases move for 3 turns, so that's pretty cool. You can only use it once, but I mean, if you didn't have Raldor for his like accessory TMR, that increases accuracy and move. This is kind of a nice alternative, but it's an armor TMR. Well, it's a helm TMR. It's kind of even worse in a way. But yeah, she definitely deserved better in my opinion. So, but like you mentioned, I'd like to move on to Winter Mashery if that's cool.
Yep.
So yeah, like basically Winter Mashery got the treatment that I feel like Ramada deserved. In the sense that just like her upgrades are pretty nice. like uh, they are to her her obviously her dragoon job. That's like she's main job dragoon, but they're actually useful and unique. They increase the I guess utility of the job. So the first one I'm going to cover is her dragon skin, which like pretty much all dragoons get. That it just increases your attack by like 42% max. This one, the upgrade is called Dragon Scale. Very cool. Increases defense by 15 as well for 3 turns. Still 2 casts, still 15 TP. So like she struggles with the AP generation, but like the increased defense, I think is very cool for her.
Just
And
one
then,
little funny note. It's the name going from like Dragon's Kin as an offense skill to Dragon Scale. At first, I was like, that doesn't make sense, but I think it's kind of
yeah,
funny that it sounds like Dragon Skin before the upgrade instead of Dragon Skin.
yeah, it does.
So then it goes
Yeah.
to Dragon Scale. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, it's funny. And so pretty much like the next two like quote unquote upgrades. Obviously, the second one is her job 25 skill. They're the ones that kind of got her like she was hyped like when they came out in JP. The first one is precision jump. It's upgrades her horizontal jump, and it basically has it lock on now, which is awesome. And like it has more range. I think like it increases range by 1. Does it?
Yeah, up to 6.
Yeah, which is crazy. Like horizontal jump already has range of 5, so the fact that it's 6, it's still range height of 0, so it's kind of the same disadvantage that horizontal and vertical jump usually have. But I'm sure by now, like if you use Winter Mashery, like you're kind of used to that. So yeah, vertical and horizontal jump, I maxed to 20, and I left like jump at level 1. So you still have like a gap closer. You're in the air. Well, it's not your turn. So yeah, definitely looking forward to using the lock on dragon jump. Very, very cool. And then her job 25 skill is called Drain Dive, and it's a defense break of 25 before it applies damage. So even if it misses, it still reduces defense. And then a decent damage mod is 185, and it absorbs 30% of the damage done. So it gives her kind of that staying power. If she like takes a hit, she doesn't often really take more than like a hit or two to take her out, depending on what attack type, obviously. But now that she has like the defense upgrade from the dragon scale, and now she has the drain from Drain Dive, I think she is definitely more of a threat on the field of battle. And I'm super hyped, like another 120 fire unit. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff. Haven't had the chance to use her really, but I've already upgraded her to 120.
There you go. Yeah, looking at her resistances too, I know you like those. I mean, she's got 20 slash and 20 magic, which is pretty substantial, and it's interesting to see a dragoon have magic resistance. Now that's coupled with a negative 20 in strike and missile, but we don't talk about that. So, I mean, strike is as always kind of less of an issue. You kind of shrug it off a lot of the time until you get smacked by a Luel Law of Geo or something, or like an Oron shifting strike. But I guess maybe not ice, but just in general pugilist abilities. But she actually has quite a bit of health. I mean, she's got 4182 just with her board and like her natural stats and everything once they're all combined. So it's like 1.5, if not like 1.7 times what Ramada has. So at least if you have a lot of, she's gonna be probably what, like 6k health, probably 6-7k health, like pretty easily with her EX.
I think about 6 or 7. I think I saw her at 7.
So unless it's like a water missile, which I guess we'll kind of get into in a little bit here, but she probably takes quite a few hits, to be honest, and with the defense, obviously. Does she have innate defense or spirit? She does not, it looks like.
No,
I don't think she does.
Like it.
But she has reflex.
And she has reflex. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
She can use.
She
can use Rob's TMR. She can use Kane's TMR. Yeah, reflex 15%, 100% of the time.
Basically, 100% of the time when you need it, or when your opponent needs it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I lost a guild battle today because rain magic reflex. I hate it when you leave like one unit at a sliver of life on the other team.
Yep, waste that attack. Any other thoughts from you, Danny, before we get other thoughts?
Now let's move right along.
Mijin, anything else about Mashery?
Yeah, just the fact that clearly a Bruiser unit. I think what's pretty cool about her is I always like a Bruiser unit that can drain, because chances are they'll survive a hit and then they'll be able to keep going on. Her agility is a little slow, but that's about it. Yep.
And then Locke.
I don't really have too many thoughts on her. I mean, I haven't. I've seen her like just a few times, and haven't played with her enough or really looked at her enough to really see anything.
Do you actually, obviously, Daniel, you have both of them. Locke and Mijin, do you guys have either of these two units, or do you expect to? You're just kind of skipping.
No, I don't.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on to the other two here. So let's go to Venera, which I believe, Mijin, that's gonna be you.
Yep. So she's pretty much, so whenever Venera, you can tell she's kind of supposed to be like a magic bruiser or fight against magic bruiser. She has positive resistance against slash, strike, and magic, and then negative 10 and 15 on pierce and missile. And I think she came out, at least in global, right after Raldor. So it was the was the distinction between physical and magical on this one. So uh so I guess let's go with her upgrade. So
Yes.
one, yep,
I think it's opposite.
the opposite. You think Raldor?
Was
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, I think he came out right after her.
Remember they were back to back.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
a big deal. Now I'm curious though, just like I look at when we talk.
But yeah, her first upgrade is to the Pugilist Passive Warrior Spirit, which adds the 30 defense penetration. I
Raldor
think
first.
I feel like defense penetration has become pretty common, so it's nice that she still has it, but it is only 30, so it is a little weaker than what most people get. But Pugilist also hit pretty hard, so I think it's kind of fair. Her other upgrade is from Wicked Pummel to Godly Pummel. This one is okay. It just gave it what is this, 35% skill mod to a skill that I feel like Pugilists almost never use. It's the one where it's like a square. It's just right in front of the 3 tiles right in front of them. And then the last one, which I think is pretty cool, her EX 25 skill is a defense break for 20, range 3, range height 1, 165 mod, and decrease healing power. Can be useful, but not usually. And when I see her kit, I kind of can tell that she's an older unit that JP got a while ago, because it's stuff that we valued a lot before, especially with like Yuna came out a bit before her and stuff like that, or maybe after in JP. I don't remember. But things like that. I think what really makes her stand out though is having the Spellblade sub, just because she has access to a magic barrier and resist magic. And then her, I think 15%, 15% magic resistance. Just lets her deal with magic pretty well. The only thing I can really think about that is that both wind and lightning, I don't think, have very strong magic users. So she's not going to be like snowballing, or at least taking a stance against her weakness. But yeah, I think that's she also has Ninja Sub, which helps her chain, but I feel like Spellblade is probably her go-to in a live PvP scenario.
Yeah, like Doton could be sneaky good if you
Yeah.
find like certain matchups where they're building really, they're built against your other units, and or for some reason against Strike. But yeah, I probably go with Spellblade for the most part. I think just having, if the fact she gets both, like a big problem we've talked about before with Spellblade main jobs is that you usually have to go into the sub job, I believe, to get the resist magic in addition to the magic barrier. But having it on the sub and having both of them is really, really nice. Kind of definitely pushes in that direction. And for PvE, if people are actually using her there, not talking about live PvP for a second, taunting spell is a nice thing to have. So if you're using her in content where she actually needs to magic tank, I mean, there you go. Yeah, that Godly Pummel though, that what a name. And you said it's one of her probably least used skills. I believe you're correct.
Yeah.
However, there have definitely been some satisfying moments with that where I've like completely turn the tide of a match because you just come out of nowhere and smack like 2 units where they thought they were spaced out right, and oof, can be real punishing.
230 with the human killer is quite nice. That can hit hard. Yeah.
Yeah. For a second there, I thought that was actually the one where he did more damage. But that's Demon Purger.
Yeah.
Which for some reason has a range height of 2. I always think that's crazy.
I will say one thing that's a little sad also is that for pugilists, the sub job gets breathing technique. Having like Ice gets a lot of pugilist subs, so you're used to having it in your sub.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of sucks that she doesn't get it on her main kit.
Yeah, I actually have been in my guild battles. Oran's been doing a lot of like double breathing technique in like the second fight. And it's been super clutch. It's been great. But yeah, that's a good point. I mean, seeing these, man, this is just like a rant that constantly comes up. But just like having 2 extra skills in your main jobs, sub job, just feels so bad sometimes. Like there's a couple jobs where I think it's probably it could be considered really good. But man, oh man, when things get locked in there, that feels so key, and it really sucks.
Like Time Mage with haste, I think it is.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
White Mage with Protect and Shell.
Yeah,
I believe. So yeah, it's just such a bad feeling. But yeah, no, I definitely she's probably the one. Man, it's a toss up between her and Victora for which one I'm more excited for in terms of. I can't do a lot right now with my Visior. Like I just have too many things going on and like trying to do like Barret and other limited time things that I don't know how much I can do of these. I have to really decide, but I definitely want to do both. Who here has Venera?
I have an error.
Yeah, Mijin? No Mijin?
I tried going for her, but instead I got Victoria.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Any other thoughts on Venera?
Yeah,
I really like her
actually,
accessory. Go for it.
Standoff.
Okay. It's, yeah, so still dealing with the new place. I guess we have a bit of a
there is a little
delay.
bit of a delay.
So yeah. My thoughts on Venera, besides the ones that you guys have covered, are like I always tend to look at like synergies, right? And so I definitely think like her X upgrades like make her more competitive than obviously without. Like yeah, like she didn't really get anything too over the top or like oh my god like pay attention to this unit, but she's always been great at helping other Earth units in particular like defend better against magic damage. So especially like Luel, and now obviously like you are Zazan and like all the other Earth units that you know and love, even Eileen, which shout out to Orange J. But having her work and like do the work as a magic tank on an Earth team, I think will still be advantageous if you have her, if you build her to 120. Like you just, yeah, her LB is single target, but it's still an Earth in peril for 38%. So like you're gonna do the work there. Luel's like biggest struggles have been against like other magic users, in my opinion. So giving her that resist magic buff and just letting her go on her merry way, like it's undeniably useful. So for anyone out there like kind of on the fence, I know Prodijee mentioned between her and Victoria. I would probably go Victoria, but if you have the chance to do both, I think I can't remember what the state of your Earth team is like, your Earth roster, but
Pretty good.
I'm definitely going to be looking at her. I may be a little biased because she's another striker, so I can, I got kind of a weakness for them. But I am looking forward to seeing what she can do in an Earth team now that she has her X upgrade.
I really like her TMR. Actually, like I mean, I got her when I was playing for Winter Victoria, and I decided to raise her because I really like the TMR. Like it gives you like 70 accuracy for 1 turn, but it's actually 2 turns because it's a turn that you use and then an additional turn. So especially if you're doing this with like Quicken and you get an additional move, you can pull off combos with it, right? When they're not expecting. So I really like that, and it's also 2 casts as well. So I really like that.
2 cast TMRs are definitely underestimated, I think, because a lot of times TMR abilities are pretty powerful, even if it is something that's like, oh, it's not damage or it's not AP gen. But I mean, move 1 is huge, especially for us. And then that 70 accuracy can definitely turn a match around. And yeah, you add that second cast, it definitely is more attractive. Sucks that it's a hat and not an accessory. I think we usually prefer to see basically everything on an accessory, but I mean, you can't complain too much, I guess. Decent HP on it. Looking here too, by the way, I was just seeing I saw her attack is pretty high because I remember she has that 20% master ability, so I was like, oh, how much does she have now? She had like over 500. But that brought me to the index, and Ramada Winter is actually the 4th highest in the game for attack value, which is kind of nuts. It's like just under 600. So
she's like a solid PvE unit. That's about it. Yeah.
Oof.
Like with her limit break does the slash imperil or slash resistance break. So
okay.
She's good if we can do like a slash chain
with no bravery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I talked about her back when she was released, and that was one of the big things I had fun with her was the damage. But yeah.
All right, Locke, it's time to talk about Miss Super Long Range over here.
Yeah, and short, I mean, I really like her upgrades. I think it makes her like the next level almost. So I mean, just to go through them, her first upgrade is to her long range passive. It increases the range from 1 to 2. It's pretty self-explanatory there. And for a ranger, I mean, you want as much range as possible. Her second upgrade is to the slow arrow, and that also increases range to that skill. Like it starts with the range of 4, so this is a range 5 now. So if you put both of them together, it's basically like she gets additional 2 range, especially if you're using that skill. And I mean, when I'm using Nivlu, I use slow arrow a lot, so she's similar in that. Like she's sniper capability. So for most units, you can think of her as just having an extra range. But then you also get her last skill, the break spread skill, which starts with a range of 6. So you add 2 range to it from the passive, and then you basically have an 8 range unit, similar to Frederica, basically. So actually, I think Frederica has 1 more range because she can have the range allure skill as well. So she'll be able to outpace her by 1 range. But still, I mean, this is like, you increased her range by a lot, because when I was playing with her before, like, before the EX started, I found her range to be a little bit less, but I still thought it was okay, because if you put her on Paladin subjob, you have access to Sentinel and Saintly Wall, which gives her a little bit more survivability. So I didn't like I kind of thought of her as like a mid-range unit. And like the only one that would kill her would be like Nivlu, who would one-shot her with like Barrier Break. And I guess now Frederica too, with the vital shot that breaks barriers. But aside from that, like you don't have to play her as mid-range anymore. You can actually play her as long range, and she'll still be having all these defensive buffs like Sentinel and Saintly Wall. And so I think it makes her like very, very good. Her limit burst, which gives you a chance to inflict blind, I think it's very underrated. I don't see too many people using it, but she can be run on these like evade teams with that buff, because that's a high chance, 67% chance to inflict blind for 3 turns, which reduces accuracy by 50%. That's pretty huge. And if you 50%? Are running her,
oh wow,
50%, okay. Yeah, 50% reduced accuracy. And if you are running her on on an innovation build, you would probably just put her with double gunner, smoke screen, give her additional. Sorry.
Okay.
My phone got too excited.
Oh, the range.
Anyway. But yeah, I mean, she has a lot of builds viable now. Like you don't need to play her at mid range anymore. You can actually play her long range, and she still has defensive capabilities in the form of evade and like just bulk, like physical defensive bulk. So I think they did a good job on her. She still has the weaknesses of being weak to lightning and being one shot by Frederica and whatnot, but can't really do anything about that. So, but other than that, I think they did well with her upgrades.
Yeah, I'm looking at her stats too. I feel like I remember having more HP than this, but her attack at least went up a lot. I know that was like one of the biggest complaints when she came out, was that we didn't get the EX while JP did, so we kind of saw what we were missing. And everyone's like, oh, it shows on the range. Oh, it shows on the attack. And I think that, yeah, a lot of this stuff kind of bumps her up in enough different areas to really get her to keep up again. Obviously, outside, I say it a lot about like being water is kind of a liability in live PvP, but I mean, there's plenty of water units that do fine. Like she between the Saintly Wall and Sentinels and things, you can end up approaching pretty decently. And like you said, I mean, with the super long range, the name of that skill cracks me up, but with super long range now, I mean, she being able to kind of fight back mostly at the same range is pretty sweet. I mean, she also has target in her kit. Like if you use target, I mean, there you go, and you get your defense pen up as well. So I know that was kind of her thing too. On release was tune up plus target plus the platinum bows. Like, well, you have no defense, so she still also the exciting thing about her is I want to see what her taunting blade hits for now, because like the taunting blade gets to benefit from all that defense pen, and with the higher attack, it's like, oof, let's get those chains going. Hey, there you go, Winter Ramada. Do the quad hit or whatever from Ninja into taunting blade. But any thoughts from you, Daniel?
Yes. So
we missed something. All right.
So mine are more along the lines of comparing them to the other like snipers slash gunners, right? So it's important to note that as a sniper, she has a jump of 2. And when I was getting used to using Frederica, that was one of my biggest things about her is that she has a base jump of 1. And so I would actually recommend using Shikuchi instead of Ranger Lore by having the extra move and jump instead of just the extra 1 range, you know? So that this was back when like Snowy Fields and the Nivlu Frederica teams. It was really helpful when my opponents didn't have Shikuchi on. They had like the extra range, but I had Shikuchi on, so like I could outposition them and outrange them just like because of having that extra jump. So Winter Victoria, I mean, she's had this obviously all along. This isn't really a reference to her ex in particular, but with the extra range from super long range now, it really puts her on a similar footing as that whole Frederica Shikuchi thing. She like instead of using Ranger Lore, she has the opportunity to use Tune Up or whatever. Not that she has another like range passive, but the fact that she also has a higher range from like not just her Job 25 barrage range skill, but the slow arrow upgrade, which I really like because I don't know about you guys, but or anyone listening, if you ever have any confusion over which slow skill to use, slow air like the move reduction skill is the one that gets upgraded to like the different name. So between slow shot and slow arrow, sometimes it's
always
been kind of
hated
a
that,
toss up,
man.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, one
Yeah.
of my
So
most
like
hated things about the
Winter
job.
Victoria's, I can't remember what it's called. I guess I'm gonna pull it up in front of me.
Sniping slow arrow.
Sniping, yeah, it's like that's the one you go for.
The longest name.
And I also like yes, she's a water like range unit. I'm really looking forward to pairing her with Lara and seeing how well they work off of each other. Victoria being more of like the physical bruiser kind of, whereas Lara is more of like the water evasion like range unit. I'm really looking forward to seeing how well they work together, especially with like Aerith backing them up with like Quicken or support, other support or whatever. So yeah, I definitely understand the hype between her and like obviously Winter Mashery.
I like I left Venera out of that. I was kidding. It's fine. Let's see. So Mijin, any thoughts?
Yep. So I actually thought Mashery was going to be the better character out of this, but with Lara coming out, I mean, with the new VC and everything, I feel like she has this like Winter Victoria has a spot like definitely in a water team now. I kind of like how Locke mentioned her LB doing blind is going to help Lara out a lot too. And then yeah, like I just feel like she was in a bit of a weird spot before. I feel like there's synergy for a team that can like really make that you can make right now.
What would you say for like the third unit if you're doing a water evasion missile-y thing?
So I'm a fan of having the third unit as an element that beats your weakness. So I would say maybe some sort of earth unit. But I don't Maybe like Luell. I can't think of any other supporty Earth unit you could bring.
Summer Lilith.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. I was like, wait a second. Yeah, range. That makes sense. I was like, who is Summer Lilith? Lilith? Oh yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that's a very good point. Yeah. And I think the other thing is for Wintervic, she has a lower AP cost barrage, and then her master ability reduces AP consumption by 20. So I think that's a really good combo together. I don't know if she can use barrage turn 1 like Curry can, but I think she gets really close.
Vinny said she could.
She can. Okay, that's cool then.
Oh, that is the same damage mod as a barrage, isn't it? The 165.
Yep.
Sweet. And as we've said, at first I didn't say this, and then I got proven wrong, and now I you know, you had me, Daniel, which is these breaks are actually a lot more valuable now than I kind of gave them credit for at first. So like that 39 attack and magic down on a barrage with, like you were saying,
Yeah.
decreased AP is actually just kind of a nasty combination to have. I mean, whether it's, you know, turn 1 and then move back, or if it's, you know, after you've gained some AP and got some buffs, it's pretty substantial. Oof, this is hard. I'm like trying to sell myself on like one of these now. I'm leaning Victora just because I think it's a little more interesting, but I do love my Earth teams too. Like UR Zazan and Luell are just two of my favorite units in the game, so it's tough. Oof.
I know I didn't make it any better by recommending both teams.
No, I mean, I'm a big boy. I can make my decisions, but it definitely helps to have a little nudge.
Pretty sure you're gonna do both.
You
I mean,
you don't need Quicken if everybody can barrage.
It's true, yeah. They chain together. I don't have Summer Lilith though, so I guess I can't do it right. I'm probably not getting Lara. And we'll talk about Lara next week, but I mean, I only just got Valric to 99 today, so like I'm still behind on my ice stuff, which sucks because Valric's such a sweet unit. But yeah, any thoughts from anyone on the winter units before we start talking a little bit about class match? Good. All right, sweet. So, Daniel, want to walk us through the rules for this one, which I think is basically what we thought it was going to be, right?
Yeah. So yeah, pretty easy. Another 540 total team cost, and area resistance plus 30, like we expected. So yeah, we got the good info from Zenith and Flip, I believe. And yeah, it's on the Graveyard 3 map, I guess, the one that we've had the chance to grow accustomed to by now, like we were talking about last week. So yeah, a lot of height variations. No surprise there. Like a lot of class match maps include those, because positioning is a huge deal. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from, you know, firsthand, secondhand accounts about how people's matches have gone. So this is like class match week is literally like the kind of the best time in terms of being on the live PvP server. Like everybody's talking about their matches, how they did, what they wish they could have done differently, like what went wrong and what was frustrating. So yeah, this is like the 1 week of the month where it's like, yeah. So yeah, definitely looking forward to this week.
I don't know, man. I feel like that every day, right? Just yeah, life. No. So I actually have a couple of thoughts about this. I want to see if you guys sort of feel the same way, or if maybe you're now that we know there's like end of the season rewards, which hopefully are actually cumulative next time. Maybe you don't feel this way, but I almost feel like because we all are starting back at the beginning, now's the time to like really flex some weird compositions or weird units and sort of go in with, like, I'm thinking about doing like a no UR ice team, like just go in with like Curry, and I don't know if Sergius is going to come out to play, just like do something for the first at least bunch of days until I'm a higher rank and maybe I'll be like a higher density of good players. But is anybody else kind of feeling that way, or are you guys just going like hardcore as best you can on this one? I do love the map, so I kind of want to take advantage of it with good units too, but I guess we'll go Lock first on that one.
So for me, I haven't really had any chance to practice. I didn't practice with anybody actually until today when I actually started the class match. So I am going with the teams that I kind of want to try out, like to actually play, because I just want to get practice with them. Like the team I used today, I am changing it up tomorrow. And usually I don't do that. Like I usually put a lot of thought into it, and then if I want to change things, I change my vision cards, my equipment. I just kind of keep the same team. But this time I'm actually going to change the team just because I feel like it's not really working so well. And I mean, that's to be expected with that practice, right? So that's how I'm approaching it.
So you have 2 accounts.
Yes.
Kind of walk us through. You played your matches today, I think you mentioned. So how
On
did those
both, yeah.
go, and like what are your team comps?
Sure. So on my new player account, this is like 15 days old now. I focused with Cloud and his VC, and then I also got Tifa in her VC as well, but she's 99. And my only level 120 is actually Aerith. The Cloud is 115. And for class match, so I pulled Charlotte, and because Cloud and his VC was already maxed, and I also got a Gaion and the Cat Esper, but neither of these are maxed. They're just like level 40 or level 20 or whatever it is.
Sure.
But I'm like, okay, I can actually pull out a good lightning team, and I'm not going to wait around forever until I happen to get King Mont. So I invested in Charlotte, and both Charlotte and Cloud are 115. So they became like the cornerstone of this account. So the 3 units that I'm using is Cloud, Charlotte, and Aerith. And they actually work really well. I mean, Aerith with her Lightning Strike, followed by Cloud with anything with Braver, sometimes it's Dwayne for like 9k. So, you know, like sometimes I think it surprised people. Like I was playing this one manual player today, and I think he was running like Black Rose Helena, Dwayne, and something else. I think Phoebe. And like turn 1, he put Revitalize on Dwayne and just walked up like in range because I guess he didn't like. He's like he's
No
not gonna do
respect.
so then Charlotte went and like hit him. Actually, I don't think she was in range for lightning strike. She just did like a normal hit with like some of the lightning skill, and then Cloud with this cross slash. I think hit like 8 or 9k or something, like something massive with the slash. Sorry, with the lightning slash chain. But that's basically my account, and I mean, like it kind of works well against some, but like obviously against like an evade Earth comp, like I can't do anything. But this is what I have, and so that's what I'm playing, right? It's I don't really have the flexibility to like play around with other things because these are all the units I invested in, and so I'm just playing it. But I did have 5 wins today, and all my matches were pretty much easy. I had 3 on auto and 2 manual players, and one of them gave up on like the first turn because he just like he had 2 units of below 99. So like, and like I think it was like a very new player or something, and it was just trying it out. His highest was a level 99 kill Fae, so it was probably like a starter unit that he pulled. And then on my main account, so I played with UR Zazan, 9S, and Aerith. And this was like a jack of all trades kind of composition that can kind of handle like everything, or not like great, but they have some kind of answer to everything. Like the Aerith obviously provides healing, provides quicken, haste, re-raise as well to put on 9S, and then UR Zazan with his re-raises and Immortal Spirit. And then I found that 9S for the whole, like all 5 matches, which are all manual, and all of them were very difficult for some reason. Like very easy on my new player account and very difficult on my other account for some, I don't know why, but I found that he was like a support unit all the time. Like he was just standing next to Zazan and would buff him with like something like every turn. He barely attacked. If he did attack, it was like to use Drain Rush to build up a chain so that your Zazan can just go and like one shot something, like whatever he needs. And that kind of worked well, but I found that like I just wanted to try something else. Like I found that it was still like a bit lackluster, and I lost my last match today, so I got 4 wins and 1 loss. So I'm thinking of switching it up tomorrow to replace 9S with Summer Lilith. So it'll be 2 Earth units, and she also has some like she has a guaranteed hit as well with her barrage. And I think that might work a bit better. And also now I'll have 2 units with both Immortal Spirit and Re-Raise, because I'll probably use Re-Raise on her. So I think that might be like I'll see how it goes. But anyway, that's what I'm thinking, and that's
Sounds
my
fun to do,
progress.
for sure. A lot of reviving. Mijin, have you played your matches yet today? And if not, are you willing to divulge what you're thinking? Or
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done them yet. I've been building resonance as fast as I can this morning, and then I kind of want to have fun with Curry again, like I did last class match. But at the same time, I kind of just want to run double quicken Valentine Solier.
oh,
So yeah, so it's a hit or miss on both sides.
is Shell Gilgamesh?
No, so I Aerith, and I was gonna do Phoebe as the other
Okay.
one. But
Stack
I've been
courage.
Right, but I've been thinking about swapping out Phoebe for Curry because I have just the cost for it. Uh, I mean, from what you were asking about, do I want to go hard or not? It's like, yeah, right now I'm sure you can just have a lot of fun, but at the same time, I could see someone being like, if you want to hit that Diamond Master as quickly as possible, you want to try to get, take advantage of the maybe more easier matches right now. Um, but yeah, I'm leaning towards Curry though because I had so much fun with him. I'm a huge fan of Emerald Echo as a passive because all those one turn TMR buffs you can just take so much advantage of. So last class match I gave Curry Summer Lilith's TMR, giving it an extra 2 range for 2 turns, and he was just sniping people across the map nonstop with his special barrage.
Again, my brain was like Summer Lilith. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, that is 2 range. Oh man, that was one unit I didn't get that I kind of wanted. At least for the TMR. Ugh, it just didn't happen. I got Katone and she's like 89 just sitting there, but oh man, range 2 with Emerald Echo is
Yeah.
disgusting.
It was so much, and he can
2
also
casts.
barrage turn 1. Yeah, 2 casts, and he can barrage turn 1 because of all the decreased AP consumption he has and increased starting AP. So at least for that class match, it was like if they started right across me, I could just immediately barrage, and then I had Valentine Salir just finish them off.
Now the barrage, that's the one that has the frostbite on it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah,
turn 1
exactly.
frostbite. Nice bells,
Same.
opponent. Nice bells. I think the beginning of my stream tonight's gonna just be getting make sure he's 97-97, and I'm just gonna probably force him into the team comp. Just sounds too much fun. Just do like
He's a
him
lot of
with
fun.
Barrett and Rosa. Like, go for that team. But Daniel.
Yeah, so in terms of like messing around with different things, it's interesting how between like the start of the season and the end of the season, like there's like a saturation kind of like all the players are in like the same rank, I guess you could say. Like, but we're starting at bronze. The end of last season, and like there's like thousands of players in Diamond Master, and so it was kind of a similar circumstance where there was so many players to match against in any of the windows that um, it was harder to match against like the top players or the people that you were maybe hoping to run into or not hoping to avoid. So in a way, I think yes, this is an opportunity for people to mess around, or if they haven't put too much thought into one team or they're not attached to another team, then it's more forgiving because you never know. Like if you're just going to run up against an auto team, but people aren't really trying, or people aren't really too comfortable with their teams. And in terms of like the skill of players of your opponents, it's so spread out right now, as opposed to like maybe towards the middle of the season where like there's like only the best players are at the top. Um, in terms of my teams, I'm pretty torn. I'm still having a lot of fun with Wind of Aid. It's really hard to not do double quicken just because of how easy win mode it is. There's always keen blade shenanigans or single quicken. I haven't really settled down on a team quite yet, especially because of all the new units recently. I've been like Valric is like the only one I'm missing from that's recently been released. So there's so much utility and variety lately. I remember looking at my screen like multiple times today, like, man, I wish I could go with this. But in terms of making a team, I think it's smart to go with like Locke had mentioned, like the Earth team, or at least one unit, just because of how prevalent like Cloud and Frederica is. So it's really hard when going through the team compositions and like making like the team you want to excel at the most. You bring your A game, right? It's really hard not to bring that at least one Earth unit. So I was talking about Winter Venera. Yor Zazen's obviously a top pick as far as Earth teams go, or Earth units. Luel is really up there. Summer Lilith, again, like guaranteed hit barrage. I haven't decided yet, so I have some choices to make in the next hour because I haven't done my matches yet, so we'll see what happens. But I definitely want to mention I'm looking forward to seeing if the meta will shift at all in response to the plethora of Cloud Frederica teams. Apparently, one of my favorite teams, honestly, is just like the near automata units, like 9S and 2B against the world. Like you buff them with Mashery's TMR and Eunice TMR, and you don't even need them. But I mean, obviously they, you know, bruiser squad all the way, right? So I might like just go for that and find a unit that works well with them nowadays. But yeah, really looking forward to seeing people's responses.
Actually, just a thought I just had that I hadn't really thought about before. With a lot of the Esper upgrades coming out being elemental bonuses, it's kind of nice that for a time, Maneater was like the premium bonus that we'd be looking for on Espers, whether it be Bahamut or Bomb sometimes for cost restrictions or Odin. But then the near units came out and it was like, oh, why am I not hitting them for like nearly as much as I'm used to? It's like, oh yeah, they're not actually like human. So having the Espers with like the 30, 25 ice here, 25 win there, it's actually kind of a nice, just like random addition. Not random, obviously, but just a nice random benefit from having those additions that I was just thinking through my Espers that I'd plan on using, and actually they would line up well. So it's just a thought I hadn't really occurred to me before now, but yeah. And yeah, I also agree with kind of what you were saying, Locke, about 9S has always felt that way with me. Like he has the stats to do damage, but he always ends up being sort of this like kind of how we talk about Gilgamesh when he quickens or Nivlu when she's quickening. They kind of do support stuff in the beginning and then maybe like help carry later type deal. And that's kind of how he does feel for me. I'm like, yeah, Bruiser 9S, but nope, he's just accuracy and attack. Or I need my defense and spirit here and protect on whatever. But as I kind of alluded to earlier, I do kind of want to mess around a little bit. Recently, I kind of went a little crazy and I EX'd every ice unit.
Oh, yeah.
I have Surge's is now going to 120. Lastwell's going to 120. Curry's going to 120. Barrett's at 115, kind of close to getting there. I've got everybody leveling up. I got Espers. I have maxed out Shiva up to 99. I've got vision cards. Everything's set to like do whatever combination of like ice units. Fryevia is like 60 shards away from like getting the barracks to being fully maxed. She's 115 now. So it's all approaching. And like I said, Valric finally is 99. So once I get Barrett done, I think I'm just going to dump as whatever I can into getting his Mind Spheres and see how that goes. Yeah, like I hearing you talk about Curry, Mijin, is like really kind of solidifying the thought I was having. I'm like, I haven't used him yet at 120 with his Frostbite, or I mean, any of his upgrades.
And especially with Odin, it's a pretty solid VC this class match because it gets a single target rest, the ice accuracy, and then the man-eaters for him.
That's actually something else I wanted to bring up, and I'm glad you reminded me because I 100% was going to forget.
Yeah.
Do we think we're going to see a shift in either skills used or units used because of the area resist? And if so, what sort of things do you think maybe might not be seen as often? Does anybody have an initial thought on that? Like Mijin, it sounds like you've thought about it a little bit.
Yeah. So I think, especially since we can heal in this class match as well, like something like a double quicken barrage, you might be able to counter fairly easily now, unless you're running like a full water team, let's say. I've been trying to make a team that can like capitalize on the area resist and then also build unit resist. Because something I've especially noticed recently is that almost every unit has defense pen right now. So defense kind of feels kind of like a throwaway stat at this point with how much you see it. And then building a specific resistance is kind of hard because most units have 2 attack types at this point as well. So part of the reason why I was kind of hesitant on doing double quick in Valentine's Lear is that if I ever fight evade, I can only use an AoE to try to one shot them, right? And I think with the 30% down, I might not be able to one shot them with Valentine's Lear.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
gotta comment. What is happening with the lotion right now on lock screen?
What?
Does someone have lotion on site? What is happening?
It's talking.
It was like
It's like,
creeping in. I
"Turn
was
on
like, what is
the-"
It's like, hello.
happening?
So bringing it back. I pretty much had similar thoughts to Mijin. I think it will be a factor whether or not people realize how much critical thinking they've done in terms of how much area attacks they use, and how much they may be building area resistance on top of like the parameters of the class match itself. It's not that hard to like even just to get to 50 area resistance just with like Winter Holiday or one of the other um if you're using like an earth team, it's obviously like the earth one that gives area resistance, or Death Machine if you manage to pick that up. um like just like a base 50 area resistance. I think probably Kingmon's TMR is going to be a staple on my team. Just like the Boon of the Lion buff, it's like cross AoE area resistance. I was definitely going to try to work that into like every team if possible. Because once again, like you may not need to use Ziza's TMR, you may not need to use Bells. You can just go for the crystals, especially if you have the move for it. So hearing like the Cloud Frederica teams, Barrage, whatever. Yes, I agree that the Odin VC, like building single target resistance as well as like having that area resistance, like what's the opposite of a handicap?
Hedge, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what you're looking for.
I think, yeah, but I agree that the like there's so many defense breaks or defense pens and like spirit breaks and spirit pens, that looking for other ways to mitigate damage um, on any team besides like an evade team, and even then, like um, is probably going to give you the advantage over your opponent.
I do think there's some value though to although there is a lot of defense penetration, if it's not on exactly a passive and it has to be either a buff used or it's on certain abilities or something, there is some value to sort of making your opponent like do it, right? Like use that particular ability or that particular buff or have that particular setup, because something I've noticed when I fight against Black Rose Helenas is their weapon choice matters a lot for how they can perform in terms of if they have Magic Pen or Spirit Pen, like whatever kind of staff they choose. I think it's what Shell TMR has Spirit Pen is what it is. And there's her staff had the Magic Resist Pen. And then there's like other ones that are just magic attacks. So if she kind of picks wrong into what you have for mitigating her damage, and that she doesn't use the abilities that maybe have the other side of it or something, like she ends up doing less damage, you actually get to benefit from what you've built. So I think asking the question and like making them have it is somewhat valuable, but I also agree that maybe going to like I'm pushing 80 defense is probably not where you necessarily want to be. Maybe just having like 50 or 60 and having some other stats somewhere else, or 40, whatever it is. Or relying on some buffs if in the case that they don't have the equipment for it. But actually, good point about the Earth thing. I just was trying to think of what the heck card had area resistant Earth, but it's the Dreams of Heroism. Okay. Sorry, I just thought vomit there.
So I was thinking of either like King Mont or Cloud. They can bring their area effect resistance to like 100, basically. And I mean, for like auto players, I think it'll be hilarious to have like King Mont with like 100% area effect resistance, and put Proclamation and go against like these Black Rose Helenas and have them do 1 damage, because they're probably going to use these AOE skills, right? I think it'd be hilarious to watch. But yeah, I think like being able to narrow even the selection of skills that opponents can use to attack you by having like a very high area effect resistance, I think is also good, because a lot of the skills have like a secondary effect, and if you don't want to like damage them for like 500, because the other effect is usually a chance, and now they have to take a chance on that, or they can use the single target skill that will do a lot more damage but might not have a second, like an interesting chance or something, right? And for me, I've been pairing it with like Odin VC and Aerith's TMR, which gives you 25% single target resist. So my units have had like 45% single target resist and like a ridiculous amount of AoE resist as well. So and then on top of that, I have Aerith's healing. So I'm actually kind of surprised that like when I've been seeing like chatter in like the forums, it's always like, oh, double quicken. But I feel like this is the one CM where I feel like these tanky teams can do like, can be built very strong because of that AoE area resist. And also like for forever now, we had like healing down by 50%. Right? This is like the one CM now where that's not a factor. And maybe like people have forgotten that. I don't know, right?
Yeah,
It's been
it
a while.
definitely
So.
feels like I could have forgotten for sure. Like, it's not gonna heal much. Let's do this other thing. Actually, I guess
So-
real quick. Oh, sorry. Do you have more?
Well, I mean, to add on to the crystal as well. I mean, now you can pick up the crystals for a lot of healing, and that's also one way to approach. So if you're fighting against a Frederica, and you have this like team with like a lot of area resistance and single target resistance, as you're approaching, you can just pick up these crystals for like a chunk of HP as well. Don't forget that.
Yeah, one thing I was gonna say is kind of moving or like off of what you said with the, having the extra effects on attacks, and kind of going back to what I was saying about the resist is you also like force your opponent to have all their abilities memorized. Like if they're doing damage checks, like they might not remember which skill has the spirit break or which skill has the magic resist down. Granted, a lot of the more skilled players that you have to worry about might know that or are maybe more likely to know that. But there's definitely times I forget, especially like Oron's one of my like probably most used but least known units where I'm just reading the skills like which one is this? Which one breaks a barrier? Which one does the range here? Which one only goes in a line?
I do not understand that, man. I like memorize
I use him
every
so much
skill,
too. Like
the unit, like every unit that I have.
like banishing blade hits evade. That's all I know, and I didn't mean to rhyme that, but it works out. So, like shooting star, I couldn't tell you which one that is, but eventually I hit enough magnifying glass. I'm like, oh yeah. So if your opponents are slower, I mean, hey, there's value there too. But
My
actually,
biggest worry
oh, sorry.
about using Aerith is I've only used her like once manually, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be questioning what all the skills do when I'm like in the middle of a match.
That's part of the glory of it. I can't think of another word, but just like the vibrant nature of class match in live PvP. It's like like it doesn't matter what you do, like you should be able to learn something, even if it's just like, oh, I have a better understanding or more intuitive understanding of how this unit works. And that's honestly, I feel like I'm not speaking just for myself when I say that that's what's kept me going with the game is the fact that live PvP just brings me more into the game, and it keeps it alive for me.
Gonna jump back to earlier. We mentioned that Curry has reduced AP on things. I see a bunch of like acquired AP up, but how does he do it on turn one? He just has 32
So
or
he
38
has
AP.
that increased AP is starting AP.
It says acquired AP on War of the Visions
Or
card.
I remember is let me see. So his master ability gives him 10 initial AP,
Right.
and then 30 acquired AP from his master ability as well. And then
Okay.
his barrage is lower cost because of his passive giving. I think he gets decreased AP somewhere. I think.
Maybe this is a typo on War of the Visions calc thing. Because, yeah, Bale Hunt has acquired AP 50. Maybe it's consumption down 50? I don't know. I was looking at this. I was trying to figure out how he
Yeah.
does it in turn one. I guess maybe he just has 38 AP. I don't know. Or I guess it's 38 with his 10 minus. So it's whatever, 34, whatever it ends up being. But sorry. Just looking at Curry. I'm just getting sidetracked. But yeah. I'm trying to think. It's
So
interesting. Oh, you continue.
I had a bit of a side note. This is the kind of circumstance that I predicted like way back when Brigandine came out. Like I was talking about like the area of attack resistance. Like obviously the passive from that. Like it's obviously part of the formula for getting to like 100 for like Cloud or Kingmont or whatever. And it's really cool to see them provide this opportunity for that piece of gear in particular to shine. Because like at the time I was like, yeah, there I can see like the niche circumstance where like using Brigandine will help you take less damage from Black Rose Helena or whatever, even though it's a physical, like it's a defense piece of gear. So the fact that its relevance um, now against like magic area of attacks as well as physical area of attacks, I think it's very cool.
Yeah, I feel like you can tell the game has shifted because back when I guess you can even go as far as when the first CM season started, defense was still pretty easy to break. Not as much as now, but a lot easier. But resistances, like weapon type resistances, are very hard to reduce, except for like Gilgamesh and maybe Kilf. And then we've kind of shifted to those are easy to break now, and then area and attack resistance are very hard to reduce. I think it's just like what Shadow Flare, and then maybe one other skill.
Hmm. Yeah, it's those and the elemental resist. Like you can imperil a lot for like one, but you
Yeah,
have to have very specific units to do that. Otherwise, I mean, you can critical mass some elemental masteries using like Mont, and I think there's a couple future units that'll have some nice element buffs as well. I think it's we looked at a previous cast, or maybe after the cast, Vlade. I think gets like this crazy
Oh
elemental
yeah,
resist on him. It looks nuts, but yeah, it is the trend. I'll be curious to see if we start getting those element pens or area resist pens and things like that to combat it, or if it's gonna be kind of the new generic way to build. Yeah, I guess yeah. Even back in the day, like you were saying, like doing an old classic was like Leona's Castle, Odin, and Death Machine as like the VC. So you had the 20% across the board because it's hard to decide what kind of resist you wanted, and then just a ton of spirit and defense on one person. Interesting to see that continue here. Are there any other vision cards besides Death Machine and I guess the Earth one that do area resist for either particular units or in general, and the Winter one for water, or I guess in general, but also has water? I don't think there are. I know there's not an ice one.
yeah, there's definitely not a nice one.
I think it's just a 3.
think so, yeah.
Looking through for like lightning and stuff too. Yeah, I don't think there are. Wait, does Scorpion Sentinel give area? No,
No,
it doesn't. To bestowed, it's 10, but
yeah. Stack it.
interesting. You shaking your head at something in the background?
Just yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Any other thoughts before we wrap up for this week?
So speaking of Leona's Castle being like the cheap thing that we put on somebody to make it 540 cost, I think like Flag of Leonas might be the next cheap vision card that we might look into, because Flag of Leonas gives 25% stop resist, and there is a lot of these stop units that are becoming popular, like Shadow Lynx and Ketone. Well, Ketone is like everywhere and has like 67%, but even reducing it by 25% can actually save your unit and not get stopped, right? And again, this is very cheap, and Leona's Castle of 15 defense, 15 spirit doesn't seem as good anymore, because you have things like UR Zazan with 90% defense pen, and Titus with like pretty, like all these units with like very high defense pen. So it doesn't seem so good anymore. So I'm thinking instead of using Flag of Leonas, if I ever need to use a 30 cost VC. So I thought I would share that out, because I feel like, and the party effect is 10% attack. Like it's not great, but I mean, it's a 30 cost VC. I'm not really expecting much from it, but the bestowed effect
Sure.
seems kind of nice.
Yeah, I think one of the other ones people have used before, like Flag of the Crystal Sanctum, that gives like 25 accuracy on bestow and 6 to the party. Which, by the way, 6 to the party is so shit. But oh well. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I didn't realize there was one that bestowed stop like that. So like that plus like Ribbon would be a really good anti-stop if you really needed that on a unit. Yeah, Mijin, any wrapping up thoughts?
Not that I can think of. Good luck to everyone in the class match.
Absolutely, you as well.
That's what I was going to say.
So Locke and then Daniel. Sorry, Locke. I meant Locke already said his last thoughts. So Daniel now.
Oh, yeah. That's like I always want to kind of start off the week of class match by saying good luck to everyone who's even slightly inclined to even doing like one match a day, or trying it out for the first time. As usual, I mean, we're biased, but it's worth it. It makes the game so much more fun. just by getting in there and testing your skill against other like real life opponents instead of PVE. Um, I'm just looking forward to hearing from people. So yeah, please let us know how it's going for you and join the PvP Discord because yeah, there's a lot of conversation going on right now. Yeah, good luck.
I think on that note of sort of trying PvP out, if you are a newer player, and you found your way to this podcast and to the end here, just remember that even if you only win one match a day, you stay even. So you get plus 20 for a win and minus 5 for a loss. So if most days, say you go like 1 and 4, and it feels really bad, like you're still at least staying even. But if you go, 2 and 3, and also if you hit a streak for some reason, you get back to back, you're plussing, and you will incrementally grow over time, play better players, and learn more. So there's really, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not gonna advise you just turn on auto because I think that's dumb and like you're not gonna learn anything from that really. But at least not anything I consider useful. But like just there's not a whole lot of reason unless you literally have no time to not just like do 5 matches a day. Then eventually you will work your way to rewards, and I think you'll surprise yourself at how much fun it is if you haven't done it before, and how much you'll learn about these units you've been playing for I mean, you could be a newer player, like new time wise, or just new to class match. That you'll find these things about your units and little quirks and really cool things that you would never see in any other game mode. So yeah, if so,
Or synergies with other units.
Yeah, absolutely. But Mijin, thank you for joining us this week. It was awesome to have your insight, and thank you for reminding me of a few things that I definitely would have forgotten.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Do you have any sort of do you do any content or anything that you like to drop, or are you kind
Not
of
really, just enjoy playing.
just kind of come
I
catch
think
these hands in
I look
Discord?
forward to 1 week a month to do class match, and that's pretty much it.
Fair enough. Well, thank you for joining us, and I've been Zach Burrell,
I've been Dana.
and we'll see you next week.